right, welcome back to the Longview PD on-air podcast. I'm your host, Michaela Vaughn, and today's a little different because our two lieutenants are not my co-hosts today. Today, we are doing a Women in Policing episode because, if you are unaware, March is National Women's History Month, and so I thought it would be fun to bring in 3 of our female officers and just talk about what it's like to be a woman in law enforcement. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves. And Cindy, we can start with you.
It's good to be back.
Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me. My name's Cindy Howell. I've been with our department for almost 9 years now, and I'm from the area. So,
born and raised in Good Shepherd Medical.
Born and raised around Longview. So, yep, from here. Graduated high school in 2008 at Sabine High School, and went into law enforcement. Well, I went to college first, got my accounting degree there. A lot of good that did me. Moved into law enforcement at 25, and did 5 years on patrol. It was great. Switched over to traffic for 3 years. It's traffic enforcement, crash investigator. Loved that. And just recently, this year, switched over into PAR, the police area representative. So getting my feet wet, learning a whole new way to police because it's completely different than working patrol.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Good. I'm glad you're liking it.
So much fun. So much new stuff to deal with. So.
And then we also have Officer Christina Payne. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Christina Payne, obviously way less interesting than Cindy over here.
I doubt it.
I'm from tiny little Harleton, East Texas, but pretty much Longview. It's close enough. I started with the department about 6 years ago, and I have been solely on patrol. So again, not as much as Cindy over here.
I think you're interesting.
Yeah, we love you, Christina.
Thank you.
And then we also have Officer Sandra Martinez. You can introduce yourself, Sandra.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Sandra. Pretty much I have the least amount of experience here, so I'm like probably the least to say. But also just East Texas forever. Went to school in New London, West West is where I graduated from, got my bachelor's degree in UT Tyler. And then I started with the department. Like, I think I still had a semester left of college when I was already like here in the academy and stuff like that. So I've only been here 2 years, and so patrol only for me right now, but I love my job. So let's see where we go.
Absolutely.
So were you doing like your college work and the academy at the same time?
No, I was, the way it worked out is I was doing like what is it called? Like the entrance exams that we have to take while I was in college.
Okay.
I had like one big class that was kind of difficult. Like my grades kind of fell off because then I was getting these calls like, hey, you need to come up here and do the psych exam. You need to do all this stuff. And I was like, oh geez, like maybe I should have got my degree first and then did this. But because then at that point I was like, oh, I already have a job. I don't need this degree. But
well, it all worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, to start us off, I was looking at this earlier, just some women in law enforcement facts. I pulled them from Police One, if you want to look it up. It's on Police One. The article is called Police History, the Evolution of Women in American Law Enforcement. So first one I have, LAPD swore in Alice Wells as the country's first policewoman with the badge number 1 in 1910. And then 5 years later, she went on to found the International Association of Policewomen. In the 1950s is when women in law enforcement really started to move into the male-dominated roles and competing for promotions. And then the International Association of Women Police was founded in 1956, and that also helped further advancements for women in policing. And then in the 80s, we saw Penny Harrington step up as the chief of Portland Police Bureau. And then 1994, the city of Atlanta saw Beverly Harvard become the first Black female police chief for a major city. So I just thought those were some interesting facts. Thought it was pretty cool that they were on Police One. I just wanted to throw those out there for everybody. Sandra, do you kind of just want to talk about what life is like just on patrol? And then, I mean, anyone can add to it. This is just a big open conversation about what it's like to be a woman in policing. So,
What's it like? I feel like Christina needs to go first because it's like I'm terrible at answering stuff like that because it's such an open-ended question, you know.
I mean, you're
that's
just
why
kind
it's
of dealing
great.
with everything, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean,
Anything that comes out, we get there first, and then from there, it's like if it needs to get further investigated, that's when it goes to like either like the traffic division or like CID. But we like literally get everything first, and then go from there. So I think that's why like I love it so much is because like it could be the same type of call, but it's something new every single time. Like the people that you're dealing with, unless you know who they are, because we do deal with a lot of the same people sometimes, but for the most part, like if I'm en route to something, it's like, oh, I don't, it could go anywhere, So that's what's fun for me is every single day is like kind of new. So
What area of town are you working in now?
beat 40 still,
still
so
in 40?
We're east of what now?
High Street.
Oh, is it still High
Yeah, it
Street?
changed.
It is High Street.
Is it? Is that the division?
Yes.
I
I
think
think
it's
so.
further east.
I promise you, it's east of High Street.
Is it?
that's her area.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it.
East of High Street, north of Cotton. That's typically all 40 and 30. So,
Yeah.
Yep. So you worked beat 40 for how many years now?
It's been like a year and a half because when I got released out of training, I was down south for only like 3 or 4 months or something like that. And then I just moved to 40 and I stayed there. So
yeah, I loved Beat 40. I miss it.
yeah.
I do 80s. 80s just really small, but I will give it that it's very busy because it is the center of the city. It kind of touches every beat. So I feel like I get sent everywhere, but I'm okay with that because it definitely makes the shift go by really, really fast. And it's got every kind of problem there, mostly shoplifting because I do have the mall. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, the mall has a shoplifting problem. So I feel like I spend a lot of my time there with that, disturbances, fights, because, we have a bunch of teenagers at the mall on the weekends.
Don't forget the AMC.
I was thinking the food
yeah.
court.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And AMC too, because it's right next to each other. So we have mainly on the weekends, we have a big group of teenagers that get dropped off and spend the whole day at the mall. They kind of just bounce back and forth from the mall to AMC to KFC, McDonald's, Crunch Fitness for whatever reason. They're not working out. They're just causing problems.
Okay.
And anytime we try to catch up with them, they'll cut through the little trails and go back somewhere else. So it's harder to lay eyes on them or to actually speak with them. It's definitely an ongoing issue, but Cindy, Parr has been, that's not your
That's
area.
not my area.
It's
Not my
a different
circus.
Parr officer's area, but he's working on that, getting a bunch of CT affidavits in file. That way we can start issuing CTs and kind of dwindling down that problem.
So basically, one of the, I guess, drawing factors that you like about police work is you're not doing the same thing every day.
No, it's different every day. And I feel like I would get bored if I'm doing the same stuff all the time. But the fact that I can go to work and some days we don't say this word, it's quiet. But so there's more time for self-initiated activity, traffic stops, subject stops, just community contacts and stuff like that. And then there are days where it is you clear a call and you're already on your way to the next one. But again, they're all different calls, so you really don't know what you're going to until you get there and start talking to everybody there.
I feel like everyone, or a lot of the people that work here, when I ask them why was policing interesting, they're like, well, I didn't want to sit at a desk and do the same thing every day. That's
We all have ADHD or something.
I think so.
I was like, that's everyone's go-to answer.
I'm also really nosy.
That's
so.
exactly.
Yes.
That's what I tell people.
Get paid to be nosy.
Yeah.
Yes, I
wanna
tell
know
people all the
everything.
time. I joined the law enforcement because I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to, sometimes drive fast with my lights on.
Yeah. I want to be in people's businesses,
As much as possible.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed patrol. I do miss some aspects of it, being out into specialty units for the last 4 years, 4 years. It kind of takes away from that, but it's interesting to get back into it whenever there is something. I'm like, oh, I get to be real police again. So I really like that. But I do miss, I worked Beat 40. With her, I didn't get a chance to work with her in Beat 40, but we all worked the same area. And I guess when we say Beat 40, East 80. East 80 all the way out to the city limits is typically like where we would spend our time. So you can imagine the types of calls and things if you're familiar with the area of what we're dealing with over there. So when you work the same area, you get to know people and you can hear a description of somebody and you know exactly who you're fixing to go deal with.
Yes.
And you can send the message out, be like, oh, it's going to be this person, or dispatch even knows. It's pretty funny. So you get familiar with the area, you get familiar with the people. I enjoyed that. I don't really like bouncing around different beats because then I can't focus on something or a task or a project, if you will. So it's this role that I'm playing now. I'm Beat 30 and Beat 40 PAR officer, and I can focus on a section of town, and I can focus on projects and different things and trying to clean up certain areas and address certain problems that we may be having. So that's beneficial for us as well.
I think the PAR officer, it's a really cool, I mean, community policing that's like kind of a newer concept, right? Like,
it's really not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's more widely acceptable, or not acceptable, widely like practiced.
coming into play.
Yeah. I just remember when I got hired on, that was something, a part of my interview board that was mentioned was what are your thoughts on community policing? And I'd never really heard that term before, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, community policing, being involved with the community and not just we're out there to take people to jail. Like it's not really what law enforcement should be. I think it should be about helping people, because the other side of it is when you ask people what do they want, why they get into law enforcement, I want to help people, right? Like we all have said that, I'm sure, a time or two, but that way the community policing is actually implementing that help to people.
Speaking of that, I mean, other than like not wanting to do the same thing every day, was there anything really like specific that drew you guys to law enforcement?
I think for me it was I wanted to be a detective. Like I didn't know I had to be a cop to be a detective. So
I also didn't know that.
that's why like I said, I got my bachelor's degree and thought I could show up and be like, okay, put me in, like I'm a detective. And it's like that's not how it works. I learned that very quickly. But I mean, I wouldn't be here if I don't enjoy patrol and love my job. But that's what I wanted to do, was like investigate and be like, it's that dude, like, you know, I identified him and now he's going to jail, you know. And get these people some sort of like peace of mind or like some sort of justice. That's what I wanted to do. And I guess that goes with like helping them and like having some sort of outcome to some of these terrible things that happen. So that's why. That's also what drew me in, I guess.
I just wanted to know what was going on. Actually, the first thing that drew me to policing, I watched a lot of Animal Planet as a kid.
Okay.
I really loved Animal Planet. And they had this show called Animal Cops. And I loved it. And I wanted to be an animal cop so bad. And I was like, this is great. I could save animals and I'm like a cop. Like, it's so cool. And as I got older and my husband explained to me, he's like, they don't make that much money. It's like, oh, no. So that's what kind of drew me. I was still interested in the law enforcement aspect. And I was like, you know what? I can't be an animal cop, but I'll just go ahead and go be a real cop. Like, that's kind of cool. And my husband had just gotten back from a 2-year deployment in Afghanistan whenever I put in my application to come work here. And he was like, I didn't want you to do that because I'm supposed to protect you. That was his thoughts behind it.
Okay.
And I said, well, this is something I've always wanted to do, so I've already turned in my application. He's like, well, I support you. And he's been nothing but supportive, you know, since I put in my app. But I didn't even tell him. I just told him I had sent it in. I was like, yeah, I filled out an application. I sent it in. I sent it in while I was working on my last job. I was like, yeah, this is boring. But yeah, I mean,
I feel like that makes sense because you're Zootopia. Zootopia.
That does make a lot of sense now. Yes.
I think we all watch Zootopia, and that's why we're here.
100%. So I was actually in phase 1 FTO when that movie was big, and I watched it, and someone said, "Cindy, you remind me of the bunny, Judy Hopps." And I was riding with my FTO. Stroud. If y'all didn't know, Stroud was my first phase. And I said, do you watch cartoons by chance? To my surprise, he said yes.
What?
He said yes. So I said, okay, you need to watch this movie. And he's like, why? I said, I'm the bunny. What? I said, I'm the bunny. Watch the movie. You'll understand. I'm the bunny. The next day, he gets in the car with me and he looks down. He looks at me and goes, you're the bunny. I'm the bunny. So, I got the nickname Judy Hopps from a couple of people, or Officer Hopps, to the point that they forgot my name was Hal. So, Officer Hal over here.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I love Zootopia. It was a good one.
That was a good movie. I did like that one. Sandra, so for people listening, obviously I'm new here. I did my ride along, the first one and the only one I've ever been on with Sandra. So we got to know each other, I think, pretty well. We spent, 8 hours just riding around in a cop car together.
Hours, so.
We had fun.
Yeah.
I learned a lot that night. You said you originally thought about going into DPS, right?
Yeah, I did.
Was there anything about Longview that drew you this way rather than DPS?
I mean, it was what changed my mind, I guess, is, like I said, I was in college and my professor was like, everybody wants to be a state trooper, go out and like the sheriff's office or something like that. But think about like your backup and their response time, like where you go to a smaller agency or like a city, they're going to be there, like, and if you need somebody else, they'll be there like in 5 minutes or less. And you can always count on that versus if you're out on the highway, it's just you. And so that and like the traveling, having to go away, I really didn't want to leave my hometown or anything like that early. And so I'm not going to lie, originally I sent Kilgore an email because that's like where I'm from. And Kilgore was like, no, you have to be commissioned. And I wasn't commissioned. Like I hadn't even gone through the academy. And so then I was like, okay, let's try Longview. Because I forgot, like, while I was still in college, this was like my first or second year of college, I interviewed Montgomery, and he was the one that kind of had me interested in Longview too, because after I spoke with him, I was like, okay, that's like an agency I want to be a part of, because he just talked so highly of like Longview PD. And that's why I like only really applied here, because Kilgore was just like an informal email. And then Longview, I actually applied, and then I was like, hey, like, did y'all get my email? Like, did y'all get my phone call? And that was finally, I think I had like Montgomery's email, and I emailed him, and then he, like, from there I got like called the next day or something. So that's like, I guess what changed my mind and how I ended up here. So
That's funny. He popped in here before you got here, and he was like, he literally told us that story and was like, yeah, ask her about it. Yeah. He was like, I'm basically
I
the
take
reason.
credit.
Yeah.
I take credit for hiring
he
her.
Really should. He
We
really
were like,
should.
okay.
Yeah.
Were any of y'all the only woman in your academy?
I had two other girls.
Okay.
Yeah, I had two in mine as well.
Christina?
I was one of three.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's actually surprising. There were two in the last one that we did, but only one was a Longview officer.
Well, I was the only one in my group that was a Longview.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
Same.
too.
So
Okay.
I mean, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you're in the academy, you're in there as a whole. I mean,
Right.
you have your people that you're going to obviously work with, but the whole group is all dealing
Yeah.
with it. So you become friends with pretty much everybody in the class.
Right. What was the hardest part of the academy for
OC
everybody?
spray.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I did not
Jeez.
have a terrible reaction, but it still was not a good time for me.
It haunts me.
Yeah.
But if I never get sprayed again, it's going to be too soon.
Yeah. No.
Oh my
it
gosh.
haunts
I think
me.
that probably was the hardest. I mean, studying for me was easy. If I write stuff down, I pretty much have it. So I didn't have a problem with like the academic stuff. It was just the OC. And I think the fact that they made you go through this whole thing where you're running up hills
Yes.
and you're hitting a baton, and then they make you open your eyes
Yeah.
to make sure.
You're like, open your eyes. I
And
can't.
I'm like, I'm over here dying, like I'm trying so hard. And then you have to find the baton. They won't give it to you. You have to find it on the ground.
Yes.
So you're literally on your hands and knees, like feeling around, trying to grab it. And then you're also trying to find the person holding the bag and hit the bag and not the person. Then you've got to run and you've got to cuff somebody. And
It was a whole ordeal.
It really was.
It was humbling.
was.
It was humbling. I truly went in. I had been talking so highly. I was like, I eat chili. I eat salsa. Like, for whatever reason, I thought it would like translate. So it's like some pepper in my eye. Like, I chop up jalapenos and rub my eyes. Like, I'm like, you know, I'm like, what? Like, I think everyone's exaggerating. It can't be. No,
It's that bad.
That bad. Yeah, it is awful.
Oh yeah, that was tough. Yeah, I'm the same way with Christina. Like, I can study and look at something once or twice, and I pretty much have it committed to memory. So the actual work wasn't difficult. And then I think, yeah, OC just sucked.
Yeah.
OC just sucked.
Takes the cake.
We didn't tase in the academy. That was after the fact. But that one was so funny story on that one. So I'm the only girl in my group, right? There's 7 of us coming into Longview, and tasing was optional, and it still is. And they were asking us, like, who's going to get tased? And I said, me? I'm going to get tased. And all the guys were like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go get tased. And so then one of the guys in my group was like, well, I can't let the only girl in the group get tased, and I don't. And then he started talking crap to the other guys. It's like, don't let me know, and don't let me find out that the other Marine isn't going to do this. And then so it just kind of trickled down, and we all got tased. They started with me, and it was pretty funny because the guys are holding me, and because you don't want to fall when you get tased.
Right.
So they were holding my arms. And I screamed like a girl, but afterwards they were like, "Oh, good job!" And you could see the other guys; they're like sweating real bad, and they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't have gone first, Cindy." And I'm like, "Nah, I'd have talked myself out of it, let you all get tased, and then I wouldn't have done it." But that wasn't as bad as pepper spray.
That one's like immediate. Like, as soon as you get tased and you're done, you stand up and it's like you can go on a run or something. But
I had a Charlie horse for 2 days. What are you
did
talking about?
I was fine. I think it like fixed my back pain I had that day. Like,
Where did they hook you up to?
it was like shoulder and then like hip.
Oh my gosh, mine
So
was hip
across.
to the back of my
Oh, no.
calf.
Oh,
so
no.
it was literally
That's-
like Charlie horse, like
Why
the
would
whole
they
way
do
down.
it there?
Because I don't know. Perdon had a thing to just inflict as much pain. I don't know.
No, mine was just my back. So I was like, oh, like I'm like I can stretch a little.
Did they
better.
do the same on everybody? Like everybody was on the back?
No, I think after me they were kind of like playing
Yeah.
around with where to do it. but-
That started with me, so they
Yeah.
put mine on the belt
That's
and then
awful.
below my knee. So
Yeah.
I had belts and ankle.
You had what?
The belt and the ankle.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god.
so fun fact at Gregg County, they just shoot you with darts.
no.
So I came to Gregg County. I worked in the jail for a couple of years there, and they didn't let everybody get taser certified because we weren't deputies or anything like that. We were just working in the jail. So only a few of us were able to carry tasers, but you had to get certified. And they had, I guess, a rule or a policy that said that if you get taser certified, you have to get tased. You have no choice. And the way they did it is they literally shot you in the back with the taser probes. So you could, and then I think they did a drive stun. I think that was an option, but that one scared me the most because I didn't want it to burn my skin.
Yeah.
So I just stood there and I'm like, hey, if I can't see it, it'll be fine. And I had 2 guys holding my arms, and he said 1, 2, and of course, he didn't wait till 3, just went ahead and shot. But so I took the darts the first time, and that really locks you up. And then the darts itself, you don't feel them go in, I guess, because your whole body's locked up. But pulling them out, that definitely hurts. That was not fun at all.
I had burn marks after
I
my
did too.
tasing.
I did
Yeah,
too.
I had scars for a little bit from it.
Yeah.
I
No one
think
tells you that.
the alligator clips is what burned me the most.
Yeah.
The darts just left like tiny holes in I guess my back, but they healed right up because I guess that electricity kind of just sealed that.
Carterized it. No, I had burn marks.
Yeah.
So I think the alligator clips probably.
Yeah, that one was the worst. But I did that at Gregg County, and then whenever I came here, I didn't want to be the only one that didn't get tased because I was one of, I think, 4 that got commissioned and went through everything together. And I was the only female. And I kind of had it in my head that they were going to be like, oh, she's a female. She's going to be weak. She's not going to want to do this. So when they were doing it, I'm like, oh, I'm right there with you. Let me do this again, even though I've already done it. So I actually got tased twice, just 2 different agencies.
Not me.
I would've been fine
I
with
would have
just
been like, I
one.
already did it, y'all.
Yeah.
See, I thought about just saying, "Oh, I've already done this," but then I feel like they'd have been like, "Nah, you're just chicken." So I went ahead and did it.
Joys of being a woman and police officer.
Yeah. Yeah. What's it like? Because policing is such a male dominated field. So what's it like to be one of the very few women in law enforcement?
Well, I know that our listeners can't see us, but we're a little vertically challenged in this room right here.
Literally, all three of us.
All three of us.
I'm
So-
also very good challenged, but I'm not a police officer. But yes.
Right. So I think that stature has a lot to do with how you're perceived on calls sometimes. So it all has to deal with like how you carry yourself and how you interact with subjects that could be potentially violent or anything that you have to kind of earn their respect. You go up there acting like a scared, meek female. They're going to treat you like that.
Right.
So I think that that's something that our male counterparts have an advantage over, because when they show up on scene, everybody knows they're in charge. When we show up on scene, we got to be big, in our personality and in the way that we address things, because otherwise, like, people can overlook us. And that was something I struggled with in FTO in training. All of my FTOs were over 6 foot. All of them. Very big, very tall guys. And so when we'd get on scenes, they would even critique me. They'd be like, "Cindy, you're not taking charge. You're not getting here." And like, people are coming to me. I'm like, they see you and they don't even, they bypassed me. Like, they've overlooked me because I'm over here, down here, but, so it's a little challenging at times, but I think the longer that you do this and the more that you interact with people, you build that rapport with people and that reputation. And especially if you treat people right and you are professional with any situation that you're dealing with, that they're going to respect you right off. So, I mean, I've had people thank me for the way that I've treated them versus how my counterparts on scenes may have not been the best.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of physical challenges, but I don't think that personally I've seen a whole lot of differences between us and them, if you will, the men. I think that we all, they respect us, we respect them, and the same thing out on the streets. It's not as bad as it could have been or used to be.
That's good.
It's like you said, I feel like it's a respect thing, but at the same time, it goes either way. Like, I've been on scenes before where there's like a senior officer there, like, this guy's got years on me, but they see me and they immediately feel comfortable, because I guess it's like, oh, she looks like maybe friendlier or more inviting to me, or especially women that want to report things, and they're like, I want to speak to you, like, this is personal, like some personal stuff that I don't want to talk to a man about, maybe. So it goes both ways. You do have to, it's like a respect thing for some of these people, and then other people will immediately, like, I could show up like minutes after the first guy, and then they'll just turn and report it to me, and I'm like, no, like, this guy was already here. But I mean, it goes either way. But
I think females in general just kind of calm the situation down.
I agree.
Because I've had a lot of people tell me, like, they'll be very agitated, and whenever I show up, they'll calm down, and then they'll kind of start talking, and they're quieter.
It's the patience we have.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're more patient. So.
But then on the other hand, like, I've had it to where it's like a really aggressive situation, and then I'll show up not even actually knowing what's going on, other than what's on our call sheet, and I'll get there and they'll kind of calm down, and they're not as aggressive with me because they're like, "Man, you're someone's daughter," and then they'll calm down and they're like, I'm not going to do that with you. I'm not, and then they'll be respectful.
Wow.
So I feel like that's a positive in it.
Yeah.
So we do kind of bring a calmness to the crazy situation going on sometimes.
I think my favorite is whenever you do go in a situation where maybe you're not respected by the subject that you're talking to as a female. What's funny is, I've been here for 9 years, and that's a veteran officer here. We have a very young department. And what's funny is whenever a male officer may show up and they're trying to talk to them and ask them questions, and they'll point to me like, "She knows more about this than I do," or something. So it's kind of funny that they think that the men are in charge because they're there, but I have more seniority on most of them and more experience. So they'd be like, "Talk to her. She knows more about it than I do."
Right.
So that's pretty funny to me. But it's all about respect and how you handle each call.
Right.
So.
Is there anything any of y'all would say maybe to anybody or a woman who's interested in law enforcement but maybe not sure about it for whatever reason.
Come ride with us.
Along.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
Get it going, Queen.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Come on, jump in. Ride shotgun.
Yeah.
I do. I've had girls ride with me that have had no clue who they were. Either just for school, they're doing it for a paper, or just they're curious as to what's going on. And they'll leave the car like, man, like this sounds like so much fun. The way like you handle calls, the way you talk to people, the things you get to see that are definitely entertaining that you probably wouldn't get to see it sitting behind a desk. They really like it. And I feel like a couple people have said they were going to apply. I think some of them actually did. I just don't know if they actually made it through the process. But if you're wanting to do it, come on. Like we have females you can ride with. Spend 8 hours a day just kind of seeing what we do, and which of course, depending on the day and depending on who you're riding with, you'll see different things. 'Cause
Right.
like we said before, every day is different and every situation is different. But I mean, it's a lot of fun.
I agree. I really liked my ride along with Sandra. We had fun on that one.
Yeah. What sucks is when I was going through, it was like just post COVID, so there was no ride along. So it's like take advantage while it's still a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get to ride along, and I would have loved to, but it's like Christina said, like it's not 8 hours of you on the clock. Like you're just seeing what's going on. So don't be afraid to get in the car and then see what we do, and then see if it's for you or if it's not for you, and then go from there. But
So if you're nosy like we are,
yeah,
Just come.
exactly.
I mean,
Find some
even
stuff
if
out.
even if you don't ride, like coming and talking to any of us, anybody's going to sit down and talk with you, and then you can kind of get a feel of like the different types. Because we all three are in here. We all have different experience, but we all police a little bit differently too. We probably all have our own tactics and things. So you may talk to Christina and get one version of how it is, and then talk to Sandra and come talk to me, and you may get a wide variety of how it may actually be for a woman in law enforcement. And that's where I would start. Come talk to us. Come ride with us.
there's
It's
no
a lot of
height
fun.
requirement.
Yeah, go ahead and apply. Go ahead and apply because we're short staffed.
Send in that application.
Please help.
So I need better off days. So
I'm ready for that seniority.
yeah.
Oh, anyone have women safety tips? Because we all know just being a woman out in the world can be a little scary sometimes.
So I feel like when I go to the gym, I see a lot of girls looking down at their phone walking across the parking lot. I feel like, well, one, that's dangerous because you might get hit by a car that's probably not paying attention,
Yes.
or, thinking they have a right of way in the parking lot. But also I feel like that kind of makes you an easy target, because if you're looking down, you're not looking right at your surroundings. You're not seeing who's coming up, and what they might do to you. So definitely keep your head out of your cell phone until you get into where you're going, and so you don't get hit by cars.
Yeah, we don't want you to get hit by cars.
Yeah, it's like Christina said, like pay attention to your surroundings, and if something seems out of place and you're got that feeling, then maybe say something about it, like call us if you don't feel safe or something. But because if it feels weird, it is more than likely weird, or not right. So
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much covered that. Just being aware will drastically change the outcome of a lot of things. Carrying yourself with confidence. Most people don't mess with somebody who they look like, they mean business, or they know what they're doing or can handle themselves.
Yeah.
That confidence is, crucial to some things. And that changes our, stuff here. When you show up confident, they can see that. People can see that, and they respect it more. I don't know. That's something I've seen. Like, don't just be aware, but also feel, carry yourself like confidently.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go around goals with the department, like next 5 to 10 years. Is there any specific, like laterally you want to move, or move to a sergeant?
Sandra, what do you want to do?
what do I want to do? Well, it's like I've been saying, please CID.
You want CID?
Yeah, I really do. It's like if anyone in CID is listening to this, let me in, please.
This is her official application.
This is my board meeting with CID, really. So, no, I've been every single, like, whatever that form is we have to do, that's like, what are you interested in? It's just like CID. That's it for me. So,
What would you like to do? Like persons, property, cyber. Like, there's so much stuff to do over there.
Well, other than Montgomery, the other person that had my attention in the academy was Detective Stiles. Like, I loved what she came in to talk about. And then she was a woman too, like, to just top this thing all off. And so I was like, I'm envisioning myself like that's what I want to do. And she's embodying like what I want to be one day. So Detective Stiles, please.
Stiles for me. Speaking
know.
of Detective Stiles, she, I think, was the first detective that I actually spoke to here. Because when I got hired, we were waiting for a third person to graduate the night academy. That way we could all start our training and commissioning together. So they had me in CID just doing some paperwork. And she was one of the first people that actually came in and introduced herself and talked to her. And I mean, I love her. So
not as much as I do, please. Like, I'm trying to work with you, please.
So detective, what do you want to be, Christina? When you grow up, what do you want to be?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I mean, I just really like patrol right now. It's different. I don't like doing the same thing. I thought about CID, but I feel like there's so much going on and you just get like a stack of cases. And my personality, I would want to get them done immediately, which I know is completely impossible with, just the influx of cases that they have going in. So props to everybody in CID. They got a lot going on. They're really, really busy. And I know people get frustrated with that because I'll have people on calls, saying, hey, why haven't they done this? I'm like, they're busy. And I feel like that just doesn't go well with my personality because I feel like I would be stressed to the max trying to solve everything at once and when it just can't be done.
Right.
I'm happy where I'm at because I just moved into this position. So I would like to spend a year or two probably in PAR. I eventually want to be in training and recruiting.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's kind of like my end goal here. I won't say my end goal. That's definitely like my dream job here. I would love to have a hand in influencing men, women, whoever to come join us. But also I like teaching. Mm-hmm. That's what I was doing today, was teaching our department some stuff. So that's where I want to be. That's where I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years. Fingers crossed. Please, Lieutenant.
If you are listening.
Yeah.
This is my plea.
That's interesting. I think, I could see that. Well, also, I think all three of y'all are very talkative people. But Cindy, I think you would be really good at like getting people to.
No, I talk a lot.
Yeah.
No, that's 100%. When I put in for the PAR position, when I did my interview, I told them, they said, why are you good for this? I said, I'm a social butterfly. I'll talk to a wall. You know, I mean, thanks for agreeing with that, Sandra.
Well, I'm agreeing with that.
So I enjoy talking. I enjoy teaching. Public speaking is not a fear of mine. I did teach Sandra in the academy.
She was great too, by the way.
Thanks.
I don't think I've ever been taught anything by you.
Oh no.
And now I'm a little bit upset about it. I feel cheated.
We'll do some SFSTs later. I got you. Yeah. Okay. So I enjoy that. I enjoy being a part of the academy and basically starting with them from, the ground up, helping build them. And I try and instill like a different line of thought, especially like with our DWI investigations, which is something that I'm passionate about. And the way that I look at it, and I think I told you guys, I've never lost a case. Even though it may not have gone to court, maybe I didn't see someone put in prison for it or whatever. Maybe it was dropped. But in my eyes, when I work at DWI, I get someone off the street. And so the way I look at it is I never lost a case because I've probably saved somebody's life. So that's something that drives me and makes me feel better about the job that I'm doing because we can't always see the end result to everything that we do. We don't follow up on if we followed up on every single arrest, we'd be in the office the entire day looking at all the cases over the years that we've filed on people. So
she was an incredible teacher though, for real. Like the way that you made everybody so comfortable. Like I know you were one of the ones where I was like with you, I was like, I could ask her like anything or I can be like, hey, demonstrate it again. And she was like gonna tell me in like we're both adults and I think you have a brain, so type of way. So
you made it this far, so must be something going on.
I think I've always been comfortable coming to Cindy for anything having to do with police work.
I know when the phone's ringing and it says Christina Payne. She's about to call me about a wreck, traffic and forth. She's like, "Hey, I got this wreck."
When I got out of training, I kept calling it. I was like, "What is this?"
Don't worry, I did too. All the time.
I love that. I love that people feel like they're comfortable reaching out to me, and y'all are not the only ones. I could probably list so many other officers, newer, and older officers that have called me for stuff. So thanks, I appreciate that. I'm doing my job.
You're gonna get calls from me now since you're a PAR officer, because I'm always following the PAR officers.
I'm gonna block your number, huh? No, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I love helping people, even if those people are my people.
I like when I come to talk to you about something, we'll stand there and talk for 10 minutes about not what I came to talk to you about.
Like I said, I could talk to a freaking wall. So.
It's like, what was this podcast about again?
Yeah. What was the question? I got off track. Yeah. So thank you, Sandra. That made me feel good.
I think we're gonna, just to respect y'all's time, we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. Is there anything anyone wants to add? You didn't get to say?
Christina, talk about your black belt stuff.
You're a black belt. What?
Christina does some crazy stuff outside of work. Like, you would never have guessed the stuff she does.
Okay, first of all, she's 5 foot.
Yeah.
1.
But I'm an intimidating 5 foot.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
You are, yes.
Trust me, there have been sergeant advice calls that indicated such. Ask Sergeant Phillips. He took that call.
Those are my favorite when you see the complaint and you're like, what officers? What?
Are you sure? Because she's like 5 foot nothing.
You're like, she was really mean.
Yeah.
It's not that I was mean. I was very confident in what I was saying. I commanded presence.
There you go.
I like it.
So you're a black belt?
Yes. I have 2 black belts. I have a 2nd level black belt in Shotokan and then a 2nd level black belt in Taekwondo.
How long did it take you to get those?
A long time. Because each belt level had different requirements and different time requirements that you had to do. And then the higher up, the more stuff you had to do. You had to participate in so many tournaments. You had to teach classes.
Oh, okay.
You had to learn katas or formations, depending on which one you're in. And then you had to be proficient with your weapons and stuff like that. So I would say my first black belt, it took me probably a little less than 6 years to get.
Oh, wow.
So, and that was going 5 times a week. So I had a lot of, I wasn't doing this. So I had a lot of time on my hands back then. So I was actually able to go 5 nights a week. And then there was actually a class at Laterno. So sometimes just for the hours, I would go to 2 classes a day. And any tournament I could find, I'd be online searching for tournaments. I would go to those, Lindale, Tyler, Houston. I spent a lot of time in Houston. And did all of that until I finally got that first black. I think my first black belt I got in November of 2014, and then I think the first 2nd level that I had gotten was, I want to say, in 2017. So it took about 3 years from the first level to the 2nd level.
Oh, wow.
And that's pretty much just kind of adding on to what I learned from white to black.
Very interesting.
I want to be Christina when I grow up. She's so cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I just think that's so cool.
No, that is really cool,
Some interesting hobbies.
I'm going to wrap because it's almost 4:30 and I don't want to take any more of y'all's time than I have to. So if you are interested in becoming a police officer, come do a ride-along. If you're a woman, any of our women would be happy to have you on a ride-along. You can apply at LongviewTexas.gov/LPDJobs. Or if you don't think maybe you're cut out for policing, but you still want to serve the community, we're looking for 911 dispatchers, and you can apply for that at LongviewTexas.gov/PSCjobs. So if you're interested in that, if you love talking and serving the community, but maybe not in a police officer role, maybe you'd be fit for a dispatcher position. And then also our recruiters, March 6th, they will be at Sam Houston State University, and you can go talk to them if you have any questions. They'll be at the career fair, I believe, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. They'll also have the materials for you to complete your written and your physical testing. So and that is required with the Longview Police Department. So if you're in that area, you're interested in us, you can go get that testing done, go talk to them, and they'd be happy to talk to you. And yeah, start a career, not a job. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Of
Thanks for
course.
having
I
us.
had fun.
I want to say stay safe. We hope you're doing good, and we'll see you next time.
What